So, of the two short stories, which one do you want to talk about? We're going to do both, but do we want to do Life You Save Maybe Your Own, the first one, with Shiflet, or Good Man Is Hard to Find?
Let's do that. I like the second one. Let's do that. Well, I want to talk about the second one for longer. So I feel like the first one.
I was just
I would
talking
say
about so let's do
We
first
can
one.
talk about whichever one.
Not for the first one, now we'll talk about the second one.
We still haven't figured out what we're doing, but we'll,
First one. Everyone raise
we'll do the first one since that's what I did first period.
Alright, everyone raise
He's
your
like, I don't want to, but I agree.
There we go. For this one, and your Google posts ended up being pretty good. I thought for like responses and all that kind of stuff. Once we got things figured out, fourth period, Emma and I were like yelling at each other via Remind, and it was all of your fault. We couldn't reply to each other because I muted your class. Yeah, because of you. Had to unmute the class. So with the symbolism, most of you were picking up on the idea that Shiflet kind of has like a shifty nature to him, where he's shifty, he's a little bit of a drifter. Essentially, like, what is he character-wise? Besides, like, saying protagonist, but yeah, you could argue there's dynamic characters. Like, as the type of person that he is overall. Like, his business card would say Thomas T. Shiflet, professional man. Megan? Yeah, pretty much. He's a con man. I think it was 7th period. Some folks were mentioning how they thought shift was appropriate to be in his name, not just because he's shifty and a drifter, but because of the car. How he is so obsessed with the car and shifting it as well. Did you say that?
Yeah, I did.
Okay. That was a nice little detail to kind of get thrown in there as well. And then, obviously we kind of get into the craters here a little bit. Why is he a con man? Like, what makes him bad? Or in what ways, I guess, is he shifty?
Or he gets money from the
Elder Lucinel.
Yeah.
So, remember how much money? $17.50.
And he uses her to get a car.
And uses her like for the car, and then uses her to help like fix up the car and buy new paint and all that kind of stuff for it.
Wait, can I Google what the equivalent of that would be in money now?
If you want to, yeah.
When does this story
Story's written in 1953, so we're talking post World War II era. It wouldn't be an exorbitant amount of money, I hope. Does he do anything that's kind?
He teaches Lucy now how to talk.
Bird. Fixes up the house. He's very handy.
He fixes things.
Did you get a money? Did you get a value yet?
I'm putting it in right now. I was having trouble figuring out how to phrase it.
How much is?
How much is
$164.67.
Okay. You said I'm surprised it's that much. I would have guessed like 75. You said like 164.
Yep.
So 164-ish. So dishonest things. Card takes money. Some kind things helps Lucinel be able to say bird. Fixes up the house. What else for like either side, kind or dishonest?
Yeah.
That's, and we're putting that in the bad category. Just want to make sure.
I mean, you said that he was the barrier to take care of her. No, leave her in the diner.
At least the waiter was there.
Yeah. I'm sure her mother will look around Yes.
Maybe not.
She will be able
I
to
don't know if you want to.
And what really makes that so terrible is how helpless Lucy now is, where, you know,
Yeah.
deaf girl, mute girl isn't able to say anything other than bird. Although mother thinks that he should teach her how to say sugar pie. So, you know, hey, you got one word, maybe sugar pie would be a good word to now teach her as well. Anything else that's good? Maybe not kind, but, you know, positive even. So, like, for example, you could argue it's bad that he steals the car or takes the car. It is good or positive that he is able to fix the car.
Thank you, guys.
Anything else? Emma, I think it was you kind of saying just now that maybe mom won't be looking for a daughter. Why not?
Kind of seemed like she wanted to get her out of there. And she was like she told, well, she was really pushing for Lucy Nell to get married to this guy. So I don't know if she wanted, I know she wanted the man around, but I feel like Lucy Nell was just a way to get that.
She was always talking about how, like, if anybody wanted Lucy now, they have to stay there. And then whenever they left for the quote-unquote honeymoon, she was like, I've never been away from Lucy Nell for so long, I don't know what I'm gonna do. And just, like, seemed upset.
So, and this is very objective, and we'll even kind of get to what you're talking about here, Josh, where you could argue in a positive way helps the mother by taking the daughter off her hands in the sense of not that the daughter is such an inconvenience or anything, but the mother at this point, you know, broken down, old, physical description is like she has no teeth, you know, that she is pretty much decrepit. She's living in a decrepit home that is falling apart, so they kind of mirror one another. When we were talking, or when you were posting things about symbolism, significance of names with the craters, a lot of you were taking note of, well, crater means that there's an emptiness, that there's a void, it's a hole, it's a ditch. You know, Lucy Nell, the daughter, she has a void in the sense that she is helpless, that there's only so much that she's able to do mentally, where the mother kind of has maybe a hole in her heart by allowing her daughter to go away, or she has a hole physically in the sense that she is kind of broken down. You could argue if you put the two Lucy Nells together, you have a character. You know, you have a person who could be semi-complete, but the fact, or mostly complete, but by the fact that they get separated, there's just a shell of kind of each person who is there. When it comes to saying that, you know, Shiflett is the con man, and certainly not disagreeing with this whatsoever, because he definitely is. Oops, as we move that around, that was fun. You could argue that mom cons Shiflett. And so, hey, she'd be great to marry. She's never going to talk back to you. You should teach her to say sugar pie so that she can say more than bird. She's so young. Look, she's like 16, 17 years old.
Did it say she was actually 30?
In reality, she's 32. So, you know, she has such the young, innocent look, you know, about her. But she's basically, you know, trying to advertise her as younger than she actually is. She has the line where I wouldn't give her up for a casket of jewels, but $17.50 and a car with some new paint and a fan belt. Yeah, we can make that, you know, that work. And with the scene that you're specifically talking about, where haven't been away from her, when mom is looking at Lucy Nell before they drive off on the quote-unquote honeymoon, the way that she looks at her and whatnot, it seems as if she knows at the very least there's a distinct possibility that they're not going to come back. Which, you know, who then becomes more of an evil character? Is Shiflett the worst of the worst, or is it the mother who's being the worst of the worst that Emma's nodding her head to, for at least acknowledging, you know what, there's a pretty good chance that this person might not, you know, bring my daughter back. Comment got made first period, and this is something that gets made pretty much every year. I think Flannery O'Connor should switch the titles. Make this one A Good Man Is Hard to Find, and then have the other one be The Life You Saved May Be Your Own, as grandma's trying to, you know, kind of fight for her life, and then this one can't find a good man because Shiflett is all that you have. Now, we know that, purposely she does go with the life you save may be your own because the road sign shows up with Shiflet, slow down, the life you save may be your own, buckle up your seatbelt. But I think it'd be curious to go, usually we kind of consider that, okay, is Shiflet trying to save a life or whatnot? In some ways, is Mother saving her own life, or at least the quality of her life, by giving up her daughter to Thomas T. Shiflet? I think it'd be something at the very least to consider. What else about Shiflet? Doesn't have to just be kind, positive things. Like someone mentioned that we know he only has one hand. His one arm is just below the elbow. There's not much left there. Anything else physically we know about him? Or
He was in like raggedy type clothes.
I'm sorry.
He was in like raggedy type clothes.
Okay. And when
Yeah, mix.
when in the first paragraph, although the old woman lived in this desolate spot with only her daughter, she had never seen Mr. Shiflet before. She could tell, even from a distance, that he was a tramp and no one to be afraid of. His left coat sleeve was folded up to show where there was only half an arm in it, and his gaunt figure listed slightly on to the side as if the breeze were pushing him. Black town suit, brown felt hat turned up in the front and down the back, carried a tin toolbox by a handle, but basically looks like just a wanderer who's going to be kind of going around from place to place. So he advertises himself as a drifter, but he is essentially a one-armed carpenter that's going around from spot to spot, and she would consider him someone not to be afraid of, which would make us think that, okay, maybe Mom, again, would be the person who would be able to use him to her own benefit. Shifty, in the sense that maybe kind of devious. I think another thing with Shift is, does he shift back and forth, or does he have the potential to shift back and forth between this positive attributes that he could have as well as these dishonest things? Because for pretty much every good thing he does a bad. Or for every bad thing he does, there's kind of a good that would go along with it. Anything you notice about his actions, good or bad?
I have a question. At the end of the story, he says how great his mom is to the kid he's
The
driving.
hitchhiker that he picked up.
Right. Yeah. And was it because he wanted the?
Which is nice that he picked up the hitchhiker.
Yeah, but did he want the kid to feel bad and go back to his family? Is that the?
Oops. Apparently you can't write in a highlighter. Is his intent to send the hitchhiker back home?
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah.
In that he, because in a way, by him picking up the little kid who's not like he's like 4 years old, but by picking up the kid who's running away, he's kind of looking at himself in a sense. This is a younger version of me. Your mom, my mom was wonderful, and of course the kid goes, well, your mom was a stinking polecat, and I'm trying to get away from my parents as much as I can. It seems that after he does leave Lucy Nell at the diner, that he feels maybe a little bad for what he's done. Like, maybe I shouldn't have left her there. So can I make up for it by picking up the hitchhiker and maybe send him on a good way, and it completely backfires, although the kid jumps out, maybe he'll go back home, probably just going to end up going to another hitchhiker. And then after the kid jumps out, you have this storm cloud that's kind of like descending down on him, and he speeds into it as he's racing off toward Mobile, and he has his final little quote. Anyone remember, and you can look up, what's his last line that he gives at the end of the story as he's going into the storm cloud?
It's disgusting. It's not that.
From the, I forget.
Break
Slime, goo, something like that. Slime,
O Lord, break forth and wash the slime
yeah.
from this earth.
Wash the sage.
So like, what could that slime end up be? I mean, yeah, it could be him, where I just left the girl at the diner. You know, I'm pretty much a terrible person. Even the little kid can recognize I'm a horrible person. You know what? It's time for me to go. I may as well die at this point. Or, and this is ambiguous, and ambiguity, when used well, allows for multiple interpretation. It's not vague, but allows for multiple interpretation. Wash the slime. Not that I'm the slime, but the slime could be my actions, my sins. Wash that from me, and maybe I could end up being a good person. I could shift going from being the con man to someone who's a little bit better. So is the slime, not that this would be good, but is it something at least a little bit better where it's his sins or his actions? Or is the slime really him, where if it's him, then get rid of me. If it's my actions, if it's my sins, wash it. What's he asking for? Forgiveness to be cleansed. And this is where, and I think also leading up to it, but this is where you really kind of start to see some of those religious allusions work their way into the story. If he were to be cleansed, you have this idea of baptism, forgiveness. If he's, death is coming his way, then he has, maybe damnation coming his way. Where does he leave the girl? Besides the diner. Excuse us while we wait for damnation to show up. Apparently, smart words can't write swear words. Oh well. Leaves her at the hot spot. What's the waiter at the hot spot call her? Angel of God. Hot spot kind of seems that it might parallel with, someone thought it was Hell's Kitchen was the name of the diner. I thought that was pretty good. It is. Joey Mullen's from Hell's Kitchen. Joey Mullen at one point with the most goals of any U.S. porn hockey player. There you go. But it gets left at the hot spot. Hot spot, if you're going with hell, who goes to hell are basically all of the, would be all of the fallen angels. All right. When Shiflet first shows up, and he has his good arm, and he has not so good arm, what's the image that he creates against the sunset? He creates a crooked cross. Hey, look, we got a smart board back. Maybe. Connotation of cross, something that is holy, sacred. Connotation of crooked, leans, or you're a crook. A criminal kind of element to him. If you look, and so he's kind of like a split person, if you look at the things that he does, he fixes the car. The car's been dead, hasn't been running. He resurrects the car. He's the carpenter guy who's able to fix the house and make it better. He helps the mother by alleviating, a burden from her. Oh my goodness, he's able to work. She's never spoken a word before. It's a miracle. It's a bird. It's a plane. Superman. But he steals, leaves Lucinelle, helpless girl, at the hot spot, where it kind of seems to have more of a hellish kind of connotation to it. He could be wiped from the earth completely and be damned, or maybe there's a chance that he could be saved. It's not that he is, Jesus, the carpenter, the con man, walking around, kind of like how we said with McMurphy, there are some qualities about him. I don't think he's portrayed in the same way as McMurphy is as the Savior, but certainly he is portrayed in a way where there is the potential for both good and evil to come out of it. Finding rhetorical devices, I think, for this isn't too bad. I mean, there's foreshadowing, there's symbolism with names. Oh Lord, break forth, wash the slime from the earth would be an example of what?
An
Not an apostrophe. What Holden was doing all the time, with Allie. If you have apostrophe to a deity, it's a specific kind of apostrophe where now it's invocation. So there's certainly a lot of devices that would be going on. The part that people struggle with, and this is going to be with a good man is hard to find story, when we talk about it tomorrow, is what is her overall purpose? What's her point? What is her argument? That's the thing that we're going to have to figure out for whichever short story you end up writing. Folders, you can drop them off in the bin, you can take it home for a little bit if you need to.